If you were an amateur, you could keep hitting it like this. But you've seen the pros play, right? The reason they all swing all the way through like this is to hit down on the ball as much as possible, using body rotation instead of their wrists. If you want to go pro, you need to practice this a lot.
When people say this is how the pros do it, what I want to point out is that they've already gone through this whole process. And because they do it now, they think they only swing this way. But there isn't a single pro who plays with tense shoulders like this. They're completely relaxed, and because it's become second nature to them, they use their lower body to control the movement, just like what you were saying earlier here. That's how they swing. So what I want to do today is show you how to use your torso first, and then we'll move on to the next step. But the most important thing is that you must never forget what you've learned over the past year. Once you've separated your arms and shoulders, you need to learn how to use your lower body and how to fold your arms. Let me show you. I brought it down here, and from this position, I used my lower body to hit the ball. See, it went 143 meters. That's how you use your lower body. When pros bring it down and stop here using only their torso, it means this shot is basically their foundation. And this is the method we're going to learn today. We'll practice it a lot too. All right, come over here. What we need to learn is the hands came down. Now, if you only use your power like this here, you won't get much distance. Watch how I get distance with my arms while my body is still still. 1, 2, now it's down to here. Then, the arms, I folded them and brought them up, and now you can hear the wind. You can feel it, right? Hit him. This is the only speed you can generate right now. Why? Because you don't know how to use your arms in this section yet. Where you use your arms the most, you'd be really good at just applying force like this here, but you don't know how to hit the ball with this folding power here. So you need to get about 60% of your distance with this first. If you've come this far from here, we're going to first learn the power of folding and bringing the arm speed all the way up. 1, 2, right? Fold from there. Stop. I can feel that. 좀 타이트하고 very tight. The tension isn't releasing. Still something here. It's not this kind of feeling. It's constantly like this. Relax more and let the head. It's like if my target is here, this head, try swinging with the feeling of throwing it over there. 2. Stop. That's a bit better. With this feeling, it went 93.7 meters. That's about 70% of your distance. Now, from here, you need to learn how to use your lower body. Now, instead of the left side just losing power and slipping away here, let's try to impact with the feeling of extending the left side a bit more. We're going to lift this. You can lift it like this using only hand power, or you can use your left hip to lift it up quickly, right? You can use your left hip to lift it.
Like this, see?
Even now, you keep trying to lift it with just this
I
part.
think it's because I'm lifting this part. I just kind of straighten it here.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Oh. The key here is it's not about straightening this knee.
This right here.
Right. The hip joint.
Then if I just straighten here, it naturally rotates a bit like this. Is that right?
Right. That's correct.
The reason I keep saying I'll teach you lower body rotation later is because if you keep thinking about it, look, with your shoulders relaxed, doing it like this, and then if you try to straighten it, instinctively, just like you did earlier, you end up using this force. It's not like it naturally straightens out, but to straighten it like this, you'd have to go like this, right? While keeping this posture, only this part goes like this, as if someone tied a rope here and is pulling me from over there. If you break like this, the head snaps out.
Like this?
Right, that's similar. Again, bend more, bend down more. With a more bent posture, try to get that feeling.
Like this, see?
Again, right now it just feels like you're extending it. Right. That's it, yeah.
Like this?
Right, yeah. It feels like this extends first, and then inevitably the knee feels like it's extending.
Is that different from the feeling of rotating?
It's a different feeling. You see how you're bent over, right? The upper body. From here, instead of trying to lift this as much as possible, try to think of throwing it over there as much as possible. Then how would you move? Right. To lift it this way, this feeling is the feeling of using the lower body. Right. Right. Throw it. Right. Oh, good job. Good job. That feeling just now was right. Not the feeling of pulling with your arms, but try using that hip and lower body. Right.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Right. Throw it.
You-
Throw it harder. Use your lower body to give it more recoil. Pull it out more. Right. Pull it out. Right.
Set.
3. Right. Not bad. Now, you'll probably forget about arms and everything. If you think about this, it's extremely difficult. First of all, the moment weight remains on the right leg, the hip just slips away immediately. You need to have some weight on the left to do this. Even if you leave your right foot and try to do this, it only results in a slipping motion. You need to have the motion of shifting weight to the left, and then this motion is needed. But after trying this and that, in the end, when it was perfected, my feeling was, it's just the feeling of pushing this tailbone toward the sky. So if you think of it as extending, everyone is either doing this or doing that. If you think of it as an extending feeling, you shouldn't do it that way. The principle is that, but during the downswing, our weight shifts to the left and the hands come down. Then at this time, you push the right hip and tailbone toward the target as much as possible. And this tailbone needs to feel like it's pointing slightly toward the sky. If the tailbone points to the ground, it's wrong. And looking this way is also wrong. You want to bring it with the feeling of pointing slightly upward toward the sky from the target direction. Now look. 3. Right, that's it.
I feel exactly like Pro Heo right now.
Yeah, you look just like Pro Heo. Seriously, that's right, that's the feeling. Again, 1. Now shift. Right, 2, 3, right, that's it. Good. It's not the feeling of this extending quickly, but the weight has shifted to the left. In this state, now, if you think of pushing the right tailbone, 1, 2, here, swing using the lower body. So even if you only swing this much, being able to hit the ball using this lower body power is the next step.
You used to do this, like 1, and then swing like this, just like that. So was that an exercise to practice using your lower body during the downswing?
Right. That's the motion to practice using the lower body. If you don't know how to separate the shoulders and arms like we did at first, I think teaching this is completely useless. But for those whose shoulders are relaxed and can do that, I tend to teach this motion. So what people misunderstand is that they describe the part I teach as a swing for amateurs. But precisely, whether amateur or pro, you must be able to do this motion, and pros can absolutely do this motion. There are no pros who can't do this. You have to be able to do this to hit the ball using the lower body like pros. For people who have tension in their shoulders and use shoulder power, teaching them to use the lower body all day long is completely useless, which is why I don't teach it. Now let me show you how to practice this. You go into your backswing, then on the downswing, you shift your weight ever so slightly, but you have to be careful here because a lot of people think this is shifting. That's not it. It's just the lower body. Just the lower body. What we need to focus on here is, if we went into our backswing, our spine angle shouldn't just straighten up. We need to keep moving while maintaining that spine angle. That way, instead of your body feeling like it's standing up, it comes through while maintaining that posture. Then your hands will come down to your right thigh. I'll compare it to Tiger Woods' swing next to me, but when his hands get to this point, Tiger Woods opens up his left hip from here, and because his hip opens up, his hands also come up, just like that feeling of throwing a ball earlier, which accelerates the club head with a bang, giving him that distance. So for the practice method, go up into your backswing, slide your lower body to the side, shift, shift. Once you've done that, you need to get the feel of hitting the ball using only your hips from this position. But the feeling here isn't pulling your tailbone back, but rather pushing your pelvis up toward the sky. Create this feeling and make sure your head doesn't follow through as much as possible, using only your hips to hit it like this.
First of all, what I felt was only people who can definitely separate their movements should do this. Seriously. Because when I try to go from here to here, this part keeps trying to go back to how I used to do it. So I keep focusing on that, and
That's exactly what I mean. Herim, you keep showing the swing that amateurs do, but honestly, you need to do it more. How long do you have to do this right now? You have to think, okay, relax, smoothly, relax, and swing like this. And if you swing without thinking, you'll go back to your old ways. But you need to be able to do it even without thinking. It has to be built into your body for it to be truly effective. So honestly, you need to do it a bit more.
if there's no separation here first, then they just move together from the start.
It tries to move.
I would 100% do that.
You need to move this part, but most people think they've shifted their weight while this part keeps moving.
So starting from here is hard. And even after coming down here, stopping and then hitting the ball is also hard.
If you practice this just a little bit, that won't be hard anymore.
Oh, and looking at your lower body pro, looking at it in detail, it's just too hard. Before, I did it without thinking, but here, it looks like your knee almost straightens out. At least that's how it looks.
Doesn't straighten.
For me, it's about this much. But some say to straighten it. And when I look at you, pro, it feels like it goes back and almost straightens out. So coming slightly like this from here.
But you're right. That feeling is right.
But do I have to think about all of this when I swing? I keep thinking that now that we're getting into the details. I really liked that back then. Pro, Heo taught me that. Keeping it tight.
Right.
You taught me that once before too. I felt that feeling again briefly. When rotating, like, oh, this is that feeling. So the fundamental reason for doing this is that once you feel this, you can apply it when practicing.
Right. Why do you think I keep telling you to swing with your back turned? If I explain this in detail, like on the downswing, your shoulder moves up first, then your hands come down, and then you impact like this, you won't be able to do it. It's too hard. You know what I mean, right? That's why I keep telling you to swing with your back turned, because doing that makes all of this happen naturally. Because if you do it just a little, it comes out like this. So swinging with your back turned makes it work. Likewise, if we get into the details of the lesson here and do it like this, you can't do it and it's too hard. That's why we have to find the easiest way. I'm constantly trying to find ways that amateurs can actually do. So what I first thought was, when shifting weight, they try to step on the left foot, but while pros step like this, amateurs are told to shift their weight, so they all end up doing this. So, okay, don't shift your weight, keep your head still, and just lift your right foot. It becomes like this. Since it's like this, oh, this is actually doable. Oh, is it this feeling, this feeling, this feeling? As they do it, they quickly find that feeling. Since it's hard to apply this right away while hitting the ball, you keep practicing this repeatedly at home. Shift. As the right foot comes in, push the tailbone toward the sky.
I find it really hard to know whether it's better to think about every little detail when practicing, or if it's better to just keep it simple.
I know golf is hard. That's why I try to explain it as simply as possible. But when I do, some people say it's too basic, like it's only for beginners. So then they ask for the hard stuff, and when I go into detail, they say it's too hard and they can't do it. And then they stop coming. Because it doesn't work. But then if I make it simple, they say it's for beginners. It drives me crazy too. But look, do you think only golf is hard? Say you're learning to dance. You have to learn every single move and the basics. Memorizing all of that is hard. But once you get used to it, the moment the music plays, you just naturally get into the vibe.
The vibe?
Yeah, exactly. That's why pros who haven't done much coaching and are just good at playing golf will tell you, just rotate your hips, hold it with your lower body, and swing like this. But is that easy? If it were that simple, I'd teach it that way too. It doesn't work, absolutely not.
A million thoughts went through my head. Like, is ground reaction force about putting the brakes on right here? Then sometimes I jump a little, so what is that? I kept thinking like that, and then I wondered, do I really have to think about all of this in that split second? Do I need to think this detailed when I swing? I was curious if you thought about all of this when you practiced. So when I'm out on the course, I don't actually think too deeply. Even when practicing, I just try to relax and focus on hitting the ball. But some people, they're like analyzing everything. Like, how did I swing? I came down like this. And it seems like they play worse because of it. But then to improve and grow, do you need to have that analytical mindset and think so complexly? I keep wondering about that.
Right. The more you analyze and make it complex, the harder golf gets. In terms of who hits the ball best, I actually played better in elementary and middle school. Back then, I didn't think so much. I just did what I was told. But once I got to high school, my head got filled with too many thoughts. I've learned from so many different pros. They all said different things, and I ended up completely stuck in a rut. I didn't even know how to swing anymore. I started overthinking details like what angle should I come down at and how should the club head be, and my game just fell apart. I gained a ton of knowledge back then. I had all this knowledge, but I couldn't hit the ball. Looking back at when I played well, I think I just played without thinking. I just looked at the target and swung with confidence. But at some point, because I kept overthinking, instead of focusing on these instincts to square the club head and send the ball to the target, my head got filled with all these random thoughts, and my game just kept regressing. That's when I learned to swing with my back turned. And I didn't even ask why. I just did it because they told me to. But then my golf game started improving. My strength isn't just that I play well, but that I can take all this knowledge and figure out how to explain it simply to others. All that stuff I learned back then is a huge help to me now. But if I were to break down every single detail for you just to make you hit better, you might go right back to shooting 100. Seriously, I've experienced it myself. Even if I teach you all the scientific details, you might actually play worse. We're not trying to learn the theory, we're trying to hit the ball well. So to do that, you have to keep repeating simple movements. For me, to wake up this sensation, I just drop my hands on the backswing and use my lower body to swing. Right now, this probably feels really awkward for you. I practiced this repeatedly to learn how to generate speed using my lower body. And what I focus on is, at the finish, making sure my weight isn't left on my right foot or my hips aren't pulling back, but rather pushing my tailbone forward to touch the wall, keeping my tailbone and belly button tight. By practicing repeatedly with that simple image, I actually learned the mechanics of lifting it later on so I could teach it. But I don't think about those mechanics when I'm actually hitting the ball. But because I've done this so many times, if you ask me to just hold this and do it now, I can do it even without having been taught. Whether it's our subscribers or you, Heo, what I really want to emphasize is that finding the right practice method for you is so important. First and foremost, you need to completely relax your shoulders and arms. Once you've mastered that, you can move on to the next step and improve the fastest. This is an absolute fact. Without this foundation, trying to use advanced techniques like ground reaction force will actually set your golf game back. So, explain what we did today.
When you go up in the backswing and come down about this much, your weight shifts slightly to the left. But the most important thing is that your shoulders don't go like this together. They need to stay separated with only the lower body moving. From there, you feel like you're extending your lower body like before, and you swing your arms toward the 5 o'clock direction.
Right, toward 5 o'clock.
With the idea of showing it like this, your arms go shh.
Yeah, arms go swoosh. So you need to feel the speed of your arms. You can't let your arms stop here and try to move only with your lower body. You need to feel your arms releasing and keeping them moving. From there, as you push with your lower body, you have to get into the habit of generating speed in this zone. That's how you realize how to use your lower body. And once you do, the benefit is you realize, even if I make a big backswing to generate speed, I'll just end up over the top and I'll actually lose distance. Then there's absolutely no reason to have a big backswing. Your contact will get much better and you'll be able to easily control your distance and hit it far. This is how you get on the path to becoming a pro. Don't watch this and that and keep trying to experiment on your own body. I know how you feel though. When I wanted to play well, I kept watching different things and trying them out, thinking, maybe I'll get lucky with one of these. I kept trying and trying, going to this channel and that channel, thinking there might be something that works for me. I know you do that because you're interested in golf and find it fun. But if you do that, it'll be very disadvantageous for your score, and it might actually set your golf game back a lot. If you decide to watch one channel, you should keep practicing and repeating what that pro says until you completely understand it. Please keep this in mind when you practice.
I've only learned for a short time, but I don't think we should overcomplicate things. What I felt was, if you dig into every single detail like that, you could write a book. But really, I thought golf was difficult. Other dances and things might be hard too. Because in that split second, everything here, here, and here has to be separated. When you get into the details, you have to execute movements that could fill a whole book, which makes it so much harder. Rather than hitting a lot of balls, it's better to just get the feel through practice swings or drills. Then when you actually hit balls, there are times when you feel that sensation. Just knowing that feeling seems much more helpful and great.
Don't think too much when you're hitting the ball. As you keep hitting, you'll start to feel it from time to time, and before you know it, you'll get better. I hope you always keep in mind that this is the fastest way and practice accordingly. Thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next morning commute lesson. Thank you.
Thank you.